Troy, why are you here today?
Well, mate, I've got to be honest. I feel what the government's doing around these gun laws is nothing short of tyranny. They're making, or have made, laws in council. Jacinda Ardern stood up a few days after that horrific event and said she's decided that she's going to remove military-style semi-automatics out of the society. But what she did was removed all manner of semi-automatics out of society. But she won't say that. She's lying to the community. There are 7 tranches of laws that this government's looking to enforce upon our society. We're at tranche number 2, and essentially there are parts of that law as it stands at the moment that gives the Hamilton mongrel mob chapter more rights than a licensed firearm owner. The police can come into my home as a licensed firearm owner at any time of the day or night simply because I have that license. They can come in and they can interview me, and I must answer all their questions, and they can take away my property, my private property. They can't do that to the mongrel mob. They can't go in there without a warrant from a judge.
That's a too hard basket though, isn't it? I mean, you're easy because you're a law-abiding citizen. They don't want to pick on the gangs because gangs are much more aggressive, and well, there's no talk about taking gang members' weapons at all, is there? It's just on about legitimate law-abiding gun owners who are a soft underbelly and a soft target.
Yep.
And
sorry for the pun, easy target.
Well, yeah. But this is what it is. It's tyranny of government, and I think they're disarming New Zealand because this is part of the New York Declaration to disarm all Western nations. And this mosque event, or they call it a terrorist event, when that man walked into the mosque on the 15th of March and killed all those people. There's a lot of talk of conspiracy over that, which I don't believe, but it was very convenient for the government, wasn't it? It was a very convenient thing.
Well, to use another pun, it pulled the trigger on a plan that they already had in place, I think.
And it really, it pushed Jacinda to the, superstar status around the world, and now she's glorified by all the legacy media in the Western world, and politicians who look to her as some kind of messiah, when most of the people in New Zealand, I would say, don't like her at all. And it'd be, hopefully, I pray, there's me showing my bias, that she never gets anywhere near winning the next election. But you wouldn't think that by watching the legacy media in New Zealand, because they'll say nothing negative about Jacinda at all.
That's right.
And she, you would think you would think that 100% of the people in New Zealand would support Jacinda, when in fact it's the opposite of the truth. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here, this is what I would like to say to New Zealand. History, a man who's ignorant of history, or anyone who's ignorant of history, is doomed to repeat it. And what we're seeing, we've had discussions here today with a number of people. Leighton Baker from New Conservatives been here, Winston Peters has spoken here, and it's interesting, but history will repeat itself if we don't understand it. And what we're seeing in our culture right now is a repetition of what's happened throughout history time and again, particularly German 1930s, Germany 1930s, and the death of 1,000 cuts, where they take the easy targets, because firearm owners, most of the guys here, they don't want to cause trouble, they just want to get on and do their thing. They're not a threat to anybody. In fact, I could really go to town on this, but let's remember it was a guy with a gun that chased the shooter away from the second mosque, and it was the shooter's own gun, and it was empty, and he chased him away with it. Wake up, New Zealand. We're not the threat. We are you. Hopefully Neil put that 360 on of this this group here.
I did.
We're not the threat. We're the guys you want to have in your society because we stand up for the truth and we stand up for good, solid families and a good, solid nation. We don't want to see them. I'm going to say it. We don't want to see the Marxist agenda enforced on this nation, and we are seeing it right now. Some people say this doesn't affect them. You know, I'm not a licensed fireman, or I don't have a semi-automatic. This doesn't affect me. I don't go to a shooting range, so this doesn't affect me. I'm telling you now, it does. If they can do that to us, the most law-abiding group of citizens in the country, and the statistics tell us that that's the truth, they can do it to any one of you. They can come, they'll just pick off little groups as the time suits and the situation suits. Who was it said? Winston Churchill. Never miss the opportunity for a good, what's the word? For a good crisis. Never waste a good crisis. And that's what the Marxists do. That's what the socialist agenda does. And I'm sorry, that's heavy stuff to lay on, I know. But do your history. Read the books. Understand we're just repeating it, and an apathetic nation will succumb to this and will be overrun, and Venezuela is a classic example of that. Pol Pot was a classic example of that. Anywhere in history where you look back, the Nazi Germany was a classic example of that.
And they were socialist. They weren't far right, they were actually far left.
Yeah. And China right now. I mean, talk about it. You can tell I'm passionate about
There's nothing wrong with that, mate. There's nothing wrong with a bit of passion. We need more people passionate.
Jacinda Ardern has said on her TV breaks, the one country that she admires most, this was before she was Prime Minister, I believe, is China. You are not allowed freedom of speech in China. If you're a Christian in China, there's a good chance you're locked up right now and you're being harvested for body parts. Conspiracy theory? Go do your research.
Falun Gong as well.
Yeah.
Political prisoners. Hong Kong bookshop owners. All go to jail.
Yeah, you're seeing it in Hong Kong.
Criticise the government in China, and jail you go. There is no freedom. And as well, you've got the social credit system where you get a social credit score.
And watch that.
Yeah.
That's coming.
That's coming to New Zealand. But you know, they're all Marxists. Jacinda follows China, and she admires China.
And
because they've got the same philosophy: Marxism, socialism, communism.
And if you doubt that, if you think we're full of shit, go and look at the videos of her at the communist. Is it the communist youth rallies?
Yeah.
Where she's
socialist youth
rallies. You know, she's talking to her comrades.
Yeah. Comrades. 14 times. 15 times. She says comrades.
Look, we've posted. Both Lee and I have posted the information before. It's out there. I want to step up. I want to take the conversation a step further. This is pretty impromptu, so it'll be rough and rugged. We talk a lot about complaining and shining light on the issues. How do we fix it? What do we do? What's our goal? For me personally, I'm going to say my goal is to see a strong, safe, healthy, wealthy and enduring, sovereign New Zealand nation. Full of New Zealanders.
And people who love this country, people that don't want to change. People who want to keep it Western with freedoms of speech, freedoms of expression. And we don't want, well, for me anyway, I'm not talking for Troy, I'm talking for myself, I don't want alien ideologies to flood into New Zealand where they will get preferential treatment and they will become, they'll have protected person status where they cannot be criticised. And we all know what we're talking about, who we're talking about, and this is what's happening already since the March 15th mosque attack. Now these people are suddenly perpetual victims, and it's on the news nearly every night. And you know,
and running for politics.
I'm running into politics, and this is what they do. They've been doing it for 1400 years.
They have an agenda. Read their book if you want. I've read parts of it. They have an agenda to do this. That is their goal. And they come in softly, and when they've got enough control, we're seeing it in the UK, we're seeing it in France. They go hard.
And you don't need more than 50% of your population. You only need about, I don't know, 3, 4, 5%, and they become such a powerful machine because they're very aggressive. And listen, the empirical evidence is all there in Western Europe, like I've said on many of the videos. But governments.
So how do we fix it? So this is what I want to step up. How do we fix it? That's the goal: strong, safe, healthy, wealthy, enduring, sovereign New Zealand nation. How do we fix it? Guys, I think there's only one option. We've got to get political parties in power that stand on principle. That aren't going to come after your votes. That aren't going to say, "Oh, we'll give the drug dealers the vote, druggies the vote, and they'll vote for us, and we'll give the kids a vote."
New migrants from the third world,
and we'll plant them into currently strong opposition. So strong oppositionally held electorates, and to flip the electorate to our favour, so that we never ever get kicked out of power, because we're giving these people everything they want. We're buying those votes. Let's stop that. Let's find parties that will stand on principle, that will come to us and say, this is the principle we stand on, this is why it works, this is where it's worked in history, and we'll stand by that, or we'll fall by that. And I don't know about you, but I can only see one political party out there that does that at the moment.
And who's that?
And that's New Conservative. So, how do we fix this? This election coming up, give New Conservative your party vote.
And take a look at, we've just had a conversation with Leighton Baker and Troy and I, and he's really good. He's the leader of New Conservatives, and he's worth a look at. And the mainstream media, or shall I say legacy media in New Zealand, I'll call it fake news, but they don't give him a look in at all. And if they do give him a look in, they seem to mock and ridicule him. And because he was on that, what's that show called, the Project recently, where they ridiculed him, disgusting behaviour of them. But this is the media in New Zealand, because he's centre right, they destroy him as far right, because we know that anybody right of Karl Marx is far right in New Zealand now, and this is what we've got to live with in New Zealand, because the media is bought and paid for by this government, and they have to toe the line, otherwise they will lose their funding. And this is what is happening in this country. But anyway, Troy, I think we'll cut it off there.
Thanks, mate. Good talking to you.
Cheers, bud. See you later.